The Tribe podcast show is a production of Kangaroo Fern Media Lab, which is all about supporting you to start and build a thriving business. Tribe podcast on AusPod Syndicate.
She is the woman behind Hello SEO and Perfect Review. Lives in Brisbane and used to be hair and makeup artist until 2 years ago. Started selling online. And now she's learning SEO as his primary business. You can check her on LinkedIn, get Google review, and also on her website, which is helloseo.com.au.
Welcome, everybody, to this week's episode. We really appreciate you joining us. This podcast really shows us how we can all learn, live, and thrive off of each other. By sharing our knowledge through our conversations, we will impart some knowledge whilst learning ourselves how to progress even further. Here is your host.
Welcome to the show, Dani.
Hi, Michael. Thank you so much for inviting me along. Really excited.
Thank you so much for your time as well to guest on our Tribe podcast. So, first thing, you live in Brisbane and used to be a hair and makeup artist, and until 2 years' time, you're selling online and learn SEO. Can you tell us about you and how you started?
Sure. So I started off as a hair and makeup artist. So I was always in people's faces, working very creative and always loved, thinking outside the box and doing something a bit fun. And then 2 years ago, I started selling online. I was selling on Amazon and I was selling with eCommerce. And I realized I had to learn SEO to basically get more traffic to my website. And then going down that whole rabbit hole of information, it was so overwhelming and it didn't make sense at all. And I was lucky enough that I found a couple of mentors who were in America, and they helped me wade my way through all these new terms and terminologies and different things that I had to do to get a website found on Google. And then I realized that, I used to have a website when I was a hair and makeup artist, and I didn't do anything. I didn't know how to do any of what I was now learning. And I just want to kick myself, because if I'd known now what I should have known back then, I would have been so much busier. I would have had so much more traffic and phone calls and inquiries, but I didn't know any better. So I started up Hello SEO just over 12 months ago, and I wanted to help small business owners get found in a local Google search. So that's, when you put into your phone, you might put in a search term like, electrician near me or, local plumber. And I want to help businesses get found in that top 3, what we call the map pack. And it can be quite easy to do if you know what you're doing. And then we found that we could get clients to be featured in that map pack. But what also happens in that Google map pack is that's where your Google reviews show up. And so, you've got a selection of 3 or 4 different choices, and then you've got these Google reviews. And what do you naturally do is you look for a company that's got reviews, and you'll read them and say, okay, this company's got 25-star reviews. They must be much better than the business that's only got 1 review or 0 reviews. And that's when we realized if you don't have the Google reviews, you're not going to get the phone calls. So we started up helping businesses get more reviews on Google and more reviews on Facebook and other platforms like Trustpilot or TripAdvisor or TrueLocal, all those different review platforms.
Right. So to our listener and our audience as well, particularly our audience is startup, small business, and entrepreneurs. What is SEO, and what are the important types of SEO methods?
Okay, so SEO is this, it makes no sense at all for a lot of small business owners, and it can be quite overwhelming. And it falls into different categories. So SEO stands for search engine optimization, and it's basically to get found in a Google search, or there are still some countries use Bing or Yahoo. Even Pinterest is actually a search engine of its type. So it's to get found in a search that someone does on a different platform. So, and it can fall into different categories. So you've got SEO experts who mainly focus on a website and how well or how fast it works. And then you've got SEO, which is all the technical stuff and what they call like backlinking and things like social signals. And so that's off-page SEO. And then you've got Google Ads or PPC, pay per click. Now that is really where you need someone who's experienced in pay per click. Otherwise, you just throw your money away. And then you've got other SEO, which is local SEO, which is what I like to do, which is helping people get found in the Google Map pack. And then you've also got things like content creation, like blog article writing, YouTube chat, YouTube video creation. So it's all these different pieces that fit together to help a business get found. And Google is the main platform, and you basically want to use Google.
Your podcast journey starts here. Take the first step on your side. Hustle with us. It starts with a great domain. Get your podcast web host with Beard and Coffee at www.beardandcoffee.com.au or find us at Facebook.
Google-based platforms to help being found. And this is where you got Google, you've got YouTube. Google owns YouTube. And Google has also got the Google Maps or the Google My Business. So again, it's another Google platform, and that's where a business owner should be spending their time in making sure that their different Google platforms are all being used to their fullest extent that they can afford or they can, spend time on.
All right, so let's go back earlier days before this SEO, Hello SEO. How did you come up to become or set up your own business like the SEO? Have you been, because you've been in hair and makeup and now you're doing SEO. That's quite a different niche. How does it happen? Do you have an idea or?
Okay. So I'm a real sticky beak. If I see something that interests me, I'll go and have a look at it. And when I've spent 20 years working on, okay, so if I didn't do someone's hair or makeup or a wedding got cancelled, I wouldn't make any money. So I was working for myself, but if I wasn't working, I couldn't earn money. If I went on a holiday, I can't work while I'm on holiday. So again, I couldn't earn money. So I really wanted a way to earn extra money. And I tried the different things that most people try. Like I tried multi-level marketing, and there was a little bit of success, but I really didn't like that business model where you just constantly hassling people, and it's just didn't sit right with me. And then I started selling on Amazon, and that was good, but it's risky because you spend a lot of money to buy stock and inventory, and you can easily lose that business. And then I saw something about building websites and ranking them on Google and being able to rent the websites out. And that made a lot of sense to me. So if I could own a website, I could control the website, and then I could rent the leads or the phone calls out to another tradesman. So that's what I started doing. So I have about 20 different websites for different trades or services across Australia. And I rank them on Google, and then I rent those leads out to a tradesman. And then that's where, so it's basically ranking a website, SEO. Now, I'm also a member of BNI. Have you heard of BNI? So BNI is Business Networking International, and so they wanted me to join, and so I joined under the SEO umbrella, and that's where I came up with Hello SEO, and I've been working on other people's websites, creating content for them, helping their websites rank, as well as creating different trade-based websites that I rent out as well. But like anything, you're not going to get the phone calls if your website doesn't look trustworthy. And then that's how the Google reviews really started as well. And that's where I realized that's where I could so easily help so many business owners by getting them more reviews, more trust, more credibility, more better rankings on Google, which means they got better, more business coming in. And it's a really cheap and low cost way of helping them to get more business.
On your entrepreneurship or business owner journey, what is your advice to young women that is thinking of going to an entrepreneurship or starting up a business? What is your experience in doing that?
All right. Okay, so I'm always going to say, always get a website built, and it doesn't have to be expensive, okay? But you want someone who's experienced with SEO to set it up for you. So I say to people, pretty websites don't make you money. It's a website that's actually set up to be found in a Google search. That's what makes you money. Yes, it has to look good, but you don't want to focus on all this stuff that's not relevant. What's relevant to a website is to have the right keywords, the right page titles, the right meta descriptions, and to have it set up effectively so that Google's going to want to crawl it and it will find it as a credible website. And then the other step is to set up Google My Business. So that it's a free platform. Everyone needs to set that up. And just spend some money on just getting the right advice, and so that you're not wasting your time doing things that don't really make you money. So, and look, everyone does it. They want to be perfect before they start, but sometimes you just got to start it without being perfect. They call it imperfect action. The main thing is you find someone who's doing what you want to do, who's a couple of steps ahead of you, and try and ask for mentoring. You don't ask a broke family member for advice. You find someone who's already doing what you're doing, and you ask them for advice.
So you need to also have a research on your idea if there's someone already have that as well. Is that correct?
Yes and no. So this is where people fall into a trap, is like, I've got this idea, but I'm too scared to tell anyone. Well, a secret, if you're going to keep it a secret, well, then no one's ever going to know about it, and you're never going to earn any money with the secret, are you? And then the other thing is, everyone wants to be the first or the most unique. Well, if you're the first or the most unique, no one's going to understand what it is that you do. So it's going to take time for people to understand or trust what it is that you're trying to bring to the market. So sometimes it's better to be the third or the fourth or even the fifth person to bring an idea to the market, see what's working and how can you improve upon it. So that's what, that's what you look at, is what do people actually want? What are people actually prepared to spend money on? Now, how can you make it better so that you can grab a share of that market?
This podcast is brought to you by AusPod Syndicate, powered by Kangaroo Fern Media Lab. Kangaroo Fern is Australia's independent video and podcast management agency with a mission to help individuals and entrepreneurs to start their own podcast and harness the power of podcasting. Book now via www.kangaroofern.com.
So you have to have an idea, and that idea have to resolve the problem. Is that correct?
100%. There's no use creating something that you think is amazing, but no one is prepared to spend money on it, or no one really needs it because they can do it themselves.
So next question on this, I already asked this some of our some founder, some entrepreneur on my show, is that you got an idea, you know you can do it, but the imposter syndrome kick in. Have you experienced that?
Nearly every day of the week. Even when I was a hair and makeup artist, I was constantly second guessing myself, wondering when are people going to realize that they could choose a better hair and makeup artist. Doing SEO work, you second guess. It's like, oh, what if I haven't picked the right words? I'm sure there's somebody out there who could do a better job than me. Oh, constantly. I mean, I have to say that with what I'm doing with Perfect Review, I don't have any of that. It's really funny because I know that we're one of the first companies to even offer anything like this. So we're doing the opposite. We've got this brand new idea that we're bringing to market, and everyone's a bit like, we don't quite understand what it is that you do. So I've got absolutely no imposter syndrome at all, because I know that what we're doing is so unique and so amazing. But we've got the other hurdle of where people are a little bit unsure about, I'm not quite sure what it is that you're offering. So that's what our battle is. So for once, I've got rid of the imposter syndrome, but now we've got another hurdle to cope with.
So what is your tips to people, entrepreneur, to get rid of imposter syndrome as based on your experience?
Oh, I don't know. All I can say is not to read. It's right. So basically everyone on social media is trying to portray themselves a certain way. So they show us, a set up photo of what their life looks like. The thing is, as we all know, what is shown in a social media post is nothing like what is going on in real life. So at the moment, you're looking at me on screen, and I've got a photo behind me, and it's all calm around me. But what you're not seeing is I'm sitting on my bed. I've got a pillow underneath my laptop. I've got the dog trying to sit on my lap at the same time. My kids are being banished outside playing cricket in 30-degree weather so they don't disturb me on this podcast. So, it's a whole, what you're portraying online is not even half the truth of what's going on in real life. And this is what we do, is we look at all these other people on social media and we think, look how amazing they look. I'm nothing like that. Well, the whole thing is they're not like that either. They're exactly the same as what we are. So it's just to stop judging or stop thinking that other people are better than you, because they're probably not. And they're probably on exactly the same journey as what you are.
Thank you for that. So we're talking about social media, Facebook or Instagram, Pinterest. With this social media platform, do you think SEO is dead?
Oh, hell no. No. Even if you love Pinterest, okay, you need SEO for Pinterest. If you have an e-commerce store, and so many people want to start selling online, you need SEO, okay? If you sell on Amazon, okay, you need SEO to sell on Amazon, because Amazon has its own SEO algorithm, okay? So everyone needs to know the basics of SEO, and that can be keyword research. So again, on social media, you're using hashtags, okay? You research the hashtags to use. It's exactly the same thing as in Google. You make sure you're using the right words in the right places. And video content is huge. YouTube is owned by Google, and that's got its own algorithm and SEO basis. Again, SEO will always be around in some shape, way, or form. even when you talk into your iPhone and say, "Hey Siri."
Like what you hear so far? Make sure you never miss an episode by clicking the subscribe button now. This podcast is possible by listeners like you. Thank you for your support. Now back to the show.
What's it using? It's using SEO or the Google algorithm to find a response to your question. So no, it's not dead. But I hope that it's going to become less confusing for more business owners going forward, and that they will have some idea about what they're paying for, and not to get sucked into expensive SEO services that they really don't need, or SEO services that aren't doing their business any good.
That's my next question.
Yeah.
So a
All right.
lot of business people, entrepreneurs, small business doesn't know SEO. So they just put a
No.
website and that's it. So how would you tell them, just in a layman term, what is an SEO and what is the main purpose of keyword and SEO as well?
Okay, so how I tell business owners, I say, so you've bought yourself a fancy sports car, you've got a Lamborghini, and it's sitting in your driveway, and you don't put any petrol in it. What's the use of having a Lamborghini if it's only going to sit in your driveway and only you and your neighbours are going to see it? If you want it to be found, you need to put some petrol in it, so that it can be, it will drive you places, and other people are going to see it and, see you in your Lamborghini. So a website's the same thing. Yeah, you can throw up a website onto the net, but it doesn't mean to say anyone's going to see it or find it. If you don't have the right setup on it, it's never going to be found, or it will be found by only a couple of people. So you really need to do some research, and it actually makes me a bit, sad for a business owner, is there are a lot of website designers out there who design websites and they put it together all incorrect from an SEO point of view. They're so busy making a website look nice that they don't set it up correctly to be found, to be so Google's got all these different spiders or bots that read the content, and it reads it in a certain way. Okay, so it's the way the page is set up, it's how we set it up is for Google to read it. I don't, it's not for a human to read it, if that makes sense. And so what a website designer is, they make it for the human, they're not making it for the Google bots. And it's got to be a fine line. They might put a big heading somewhere on a web page, whereas Google wants that heading to be at the top, but the website designer might put it in the middle. So it's not in the right order, if that makes sense. And or they're using the keywords, descriptive words that just aren't going to make the money. You've really got to find out what are people typing into Google to find you. So if you have a podcast, say a business podcast, you're going to describe your podcast website as a business podcast channel, because that's what people are going to type in. They're going to look for, or small business podcast. They're not going to look up, pretty in pink podcasting. They're going to look for small business podcast, or they're going to look for business women podcasting. You've got to have those keywords either in the title or in the description.
Wow. So that's a lot of information. So on earlier, we discussed about you said there's a different types of SEO and there's a different type of SEO techniques. So which SEO techniques are popular right now?
Oh, they're all popular, and it's really confusing. Google at the moment, in the last 2 years, Google have been doing these, what they call algorithm updates. And, there were a couple of big ones. people might have heard of Penguin or Panda. They were Google updates where they changed the way searches were done. But lately, they've been doing updates every 3 to 6 months, and it can absolutely crash a website overnight. So the main thing is you need really good content. So content that reads well. So you need good content that people will read and that people will stay on your website for. So that's where adding a video is really good. So what Google does is it looks at a website, it makes us see that it's trustworthy. Okay, so for trustworthy, you want a website that's got a couple of pages. It needs to have a contact us page. It needs to have an about us page, and it should have some sort of privacy page as well. And it needs to have a name, an address, a phone number, an email, some way to contact the website owner. Then the other thing it looks for is great content. So you should have at least 500 words of content on every page. And you should have some images on every page, as long as it makes sense to have images. Like if you were, doing articles, you would only have, say, one photo. If you're doing a gallery, like a photographer, then you need more photos, okay? Because that's what your business is. The other thing that Google really looks for is so trust, okay? Also, the longer your website's been online, it means that it's more trustworthy. So a business that's only 6 months old is not going to have the same trust as a business that's been online for 5 years. So every year your website gains a little bit more trust in Google's eyes because it's been around longer, which means you're still in business, which means you must be doing something good. Okay, it also helps.
We are Independent Podcast Network. We are Guerrilla Podcast Syndicate. Would you like to hear your brand while supporting quality podcasts? Contact us now at advertise@guerrillapodcastsyndicate.com.
To have relevant backlinks. Now, backlinks are from other websites and as a vote of confidence. So every website should have some backlinks, and some easy ones to get are directories, like to have your name and website listed on places like Yellow Pages or on Bright Local or Yelp, or to have something like even a Facebook page. So Google can match up that your business is on Facebook, and it can match up that your business is on Instagram. It can match up that your business is on Twitter. So again, that you're relevant. You just not got a website. You've also got these other pages that link to your website as well. And then if you have a Google My Business set up, then having things like regular Google reviews come in also show Google that you're relevant, you're trustworthy, that people are liking and booking you. So reviews really, really matter. And then the longer that people stay on your website for. So if someone types into a Google search, say electrician, and they go to a page and it's sort of not a very good website, and people go, oh, this doesn't look good, and they click off it. And then they might click onto another website, and it might be an electrician's website, and it's really well set out. It's got a couple of videos to watch. It might have some photos of before and after work. It might have some information about why they're a qualified electrician. And then that person will stay on that website for a longer amount of time. And Google's measuring that. So the first website that was a bit garbage that we just clicked off on, it's going to slowly stop recommending that website, because obviously it's not the correct website to show. But the website that has people staying on it for a longer amount of time, that must be the right website to show, because people want to stay there and read and look at the website. So that website will start to be shown more and more often. So that's sort of in a nutshell about why, what Google looks for. And then also those backlinks. If you've got some good backlinks coming from well-trusted sites, again, it shows Google that you must be trusted and well-respected to have these other websites linking to your website.
So you're saying Google review. Why is Google review is important and why they matter to an entrepreneur and a small business?
I thought you would never ask me, Michael. All right. So think about when we go and buy something online, what does everyone do? You tell me, if you're about to buy something, what do you do, Michael? You're out to look for a new car. You're going to buy a new car. What's the first thing that you start doing?
Usually go to the review first. Make
Yeah.
sure it's 5 stars sometimes.
Yeah. So basically, so whenever you're reviewing something, you might ask, say, family and friends and say, hey, who did you use, or what did you buy, or where did you go? And they might say, oh, I did this or did that. So you'll go online and you'll have a look, and you might say, oh, they've got a Facebook page. Oh, that's good. Yep, they've got some photos. And then you might do a Google of them, Google their name, and just check to see if there's any reviews about them anywhere. And then if they've got a Google My Business, you'll also see their reviews, and then you'll start reading them. Okay, so that's why reviews are so important, is because it's creating trust for someone to contact you or to buy your product or to book that holiday or to go to that restaurant, because people want to know that they're not being ripped off and that they're not going to have a bad experience. So they look at reviews. Now, the thing is, it's really, really hard to get people to leave reviews. So, how many times have you had a great experience somewhere and you've never even bothered to write a good review? But you've been somewhere and it's been terrible. They've been rude, or your meal was really late, or the hotel room was really bad. It smelled of cigarette smoke. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to start complaining. And you're going to start telling friends, and then you'll possibly even put a review out there and say, this was really not a good experience. So, bad news travels a lot faster than good news. So to even get clients to leave a review is really, really difficult. And that's how we came up with what we do. But the other reason why Google reviews and even reviews on different platforms matter. So even if you are on TripAdvisor or Trustpilot, Google's still looking at that platform because they're a trusted platform. And so if it sees that some electrical company is also getting reviews on Trustpilot, it's showing, okay, these guys are, they're good at what they're doing. And if they've also got Google reviews and there's constant reviews, positive reviews coming in, it's showing Google again that the business is active, they've got happy customers. And then the best part of getting reviews is if people use the keywords. So we mentioned keywords. Imagine if people started using keywords in these reviews and said, great local electrician, or fantastic Japanese restaurant, or great family holiday motel. These sort of keywords that people are typing in to find places. So if they use those keywords in a review, it's just letting Google connect the dots. So they're saying, okay, they've mentioned electrician 3 times in these reviews. Obviously, he's an electrician. Or if it's a plumber and they've said blocked drains, well, this plumber must do blocked drains. And so it's just reminding Google what it is that your business does. And then how we came up with the solution for that is, can I show an example of what it is that we do?
Yeah, sure.
Can I show an example?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So this is what we do. So when we work with a lot of tradespeople, is we give them it's review cards. So it's like a plastic credit card, and it's got a QR code on there. So if anyone wants to take a photo of that, they can actually do a QR code and go to my review page. But imagine I'm a tradesman and I've just seen a client and I ask them, have I done a great job? And the client says yes. And the tradesman says, can I send you an invoice? And they say, yep, I'll pay the invoice. Everything looks great. And then they say, would you leave me a review? And the client says, yeah, of course I'll leave a review. I'll do it later. You know what will happen? They'll never leave the review. So imagine you pull this little card out of your pocket and you go to their client's phone. This is an Android. You tap the card against their phone and you can open it up. And now the customer can leave a review on the spot.
Amazing apps. That's easy.
So easy. Tap a card, and they can just leave a review on the spot. Or if their phone doesn't open up if it's an older style phone, they can use the QR code and just scan it and it opens up onto the same page. And then imagine if the tradie was really smart and they said, hey, let's take a photo of the work I've just done for you. Let's take a photo of the brand new shower recess, or the brand new, or I've just mowed your lawns, or the brand new car detailing I've done, and they take a photo and then the customer leaves a review as well. Photos and reviews do so much better than just leaving a review. So, and then that all basically helps a small business to get found in a local Google search.
This podcast is brought to you by AusPod Syndicate, powered by Kangaroo Fern Media Lab. Kangaroo Fern is Australia's independent video and podcast management agency with a mission to help individuals and entrepreneurs to start their own podcast.
What an amazing application is that it's easy and quick. So to get a review.
Oh, instant, on the spot, no excuses. There's none of this. I'll do it later, or if you email me a link, I'll do it when I think about it. So you can basically do it on the spot on a client's phone, and they can choose where to leave it. So a business needs to set up the different review platforms like Facebook or Google or Trustpilot or TripAdvisor or OneFlare or True Local. If they've got accounts with them, then we can link them all up, and then the client can choose where they want to leave the review as well. Not everyone has a Google account set up, so they might leave a Facebook recommendation. Not everyone wants to be on Facebook, so they might leave a review on Trustpilot. But it doesn't matter, because reviews all over the place are all helping a business's reputation, and Google's also watching to see what is being said about different businesses on different platforms as well.
Thank you so much. So do you have any final advice, anything else you want to share with our entrepreneurs who also people starting up a business in relation with the SEO?
Oh, okay. So for SEO, absolutely pay somebody to do your keyword research. Pay someone to do some really good content for you. That keyword research and that really good content will last you for many years on your website, and it will give your website a massive boost that most websites don't have. Ask for reviews straight away, straight up. Start collecting reviews or testimonials and have them in places where people can find them. So if you've got a Google My Business, get reviews. If you've got a Facebook page, get recommendations. Set up, if you have an online store, set up Trustpilot, get Trustpilot reviews. Have testimonials on your website, because people are reading. They want to see what's going on. Just make yourself look amazing online, okay? So that you look trustworthy and credible, so people are willing to reach out and, send in an inquiry or make a phone call, and then you have a chance to sell yourself. So, by making yourself look great online, it gives you that opportunity to then close the deal. if you don't look great online, then you're never even going to get that phone call or email in the first place.
Thank you for that. So, do you have any parting word, or if anyone wanted to contact you?
Yeah, sure. So you can find me at helloseo.com.au. Hopefully, Michael, you got a link to me somewhere in this amazing podcast that you do. I'm on LinkedIn under Danielle Phillips, and or you can find me at perfectreview.io. So, and happy to help if people want some help with keyword research. I can do that. If you need some help with content, I can do that. If you need some help with your website, I can do that. If you need more Google reviews, hell yes, I can do that too.
All right. Thank you so much, Danny. So, to our listener and audience as well, so who's going to be watching on the Facebook and YouTube as well, and also listening to all podcast platforms. So, all the links that Danny say will be on our show notes. So, click that. And then, if Danny's happy to have a chat with you about your business, how to grow as well using the SEO. Thank you so much for your time. And thank you. And see you next week for another episode of the Tribe Podcast under AusPod Syndicate. And also, I would like to thank you to my sponsor, Kangaroo Firm Media Lab. It's a podcast management service. Who is, if you want to have your own podcast, you want to launch your own podcast, just call them and book now at www.kangaroofirm.com. Thank you so much. See you next week. Thank you for your time for another episode of Tribe Podcast under AusPod Syndicate. Thank you to our sponsor, Kangaroo Firm Media Lab, a podcast management service. You can check them at www.kangaroofirm.com. And also, if you want to join our community, so follow us on the Facebook at Rebounds Australia. Thank you. Or check our website at www.auspodsyndicate.com.au. Thank you.
This podcast is brought to you by AusPod Syndicate, powered by Kangaroo Fern Media Lab. Kangaroo Fern is Australia's independent video and podcast management agency with a mission to help individuals and entrepreneurs to start their own podcast. Thank you for listening. Make sure to visit our website at www.auspodsyndicate.com.au, where you can subscribe to the show in Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or via RSS, so you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, if you found value in this show, rate and review this podcast and share it with your friends. You can also join the conversation with AusPod Syndicate on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Please consider on making a donation to help us keep making the podcast you love. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us.